Erika Kirk's family chaos revealed. Charlie's parents are furious. The internet didn't just catch fire, it exploded. What started as a whisper behind closed doors has now detonated into what insiders are calling the most unhinged family meltdown in celebrity political history. Because tonight, everything you thought you knew about Erika Kirk, Charlie Kirk, and the so-called perfect power couple just collapsed in real time. This isn't a rumor. This isn't speculation. This is chaos with receipts. Screaming matches behind velvet ropes. Parents dragged out of private events while cameras were never supposed to be rolling. Leaked messages that were meant to die in locked group chats. And one family so furious they allegedly stopped caring who heard the truth. People are panicking. Lawyers are scrambling. Posts are disappearing by the minute. Because something happened, something so explosive, that Charlie's own parents reportedly snapped in public, saying things no one ever imagined they'd say about their own daughter-in-law. And once that moment leaked, there was no going back. This isn't about politics anymore. It's not even about Charlie. This is about control, betrayal, and a family war that's been simmering for years, finally boiling over in front of donors, influencers, and insiders who were never supposed to see the mask slip. Private recordings. Secret strategy conversations. A confrontation so raw it left witnesses shaking. And Erika, right at the center, silent, calculating, and allegedly racing to contain a story that refuses to be buried. Because once you hear what was said, who said it, and why Charlie's parents are now furious beyond repair, you'll understand why people are saying this changes everything. For years, Erika Kirk was sold as untouchable. Immaculate. The woman behind the curtain who never cracked, never slipped, never let chaos touch her perfectly managed world. She smiled at donor dinners. She quoted scripture on cue. She stood beside Charlie like a living brand extension, polished and controlled. But insiders say the truth was rotting underneath long before the public ever noticed. And the people who saw it first weren't journalists or rivals. It was Charlie's own parents. According to multiple sources close to the family, the shift happened almost immediately after Erika entered the Kirk household. At first it looked like normal adjustment. New marriage. New boundaries. But then the doors started closing. Visits had to be scheduled. Calls went unanswered. Decisions were suddenly already handled. Charlie's mother, once deeply involved in everything from events to charitable planning, allegedly began hearing updates about her own son through third parties. People noticed. They whispered. And they waited. Erika, meanwhile, was ascending. Her presence at PUSA events became more central. Her name appeared on panels, podcasts, strategy calls. She wasn't just Charlie's wife anymore. She was positioned as an authority. Insiders claim she began reshaping Charlie's inner circle, quietly pushing out longtime staffers and replacing them with people who answered directly to her team. Loyalty, sources say, stopped being about history and started being about alignment. The first open fracture reportedly came when a new family-facing charity initiative was launched. Charlie's mother, who had helped build similar efforts from the ground up, expected to be included. Instead, she was blocked. Emails went cold. Meetings happened without her. When she finally asked why, one insider claims Erika dismissed it as a branding issue. Not personal. Strategic. That word echoed. Strategic. It didn't feel like family anymore. It felt like a boardroom. From there, the distancing escalated. Charlie's sister, once active in education initiatives, was suddenly sidelined. A cousin who had handled logistics for years was ghosted without explanation. Invitations stopped coming. Holidays became complicated. Publicly, everything looked fine. Smiles for the camera. Carefully framed unity. But privately, Charlie's parents were allegedly documenting everything, sensing something was deeply wrong and fearing they'd one day need proof. Then came the funeral. It wasn't a high-profile event. Just a family member on Charlie's side. But it was the first time, in nearly a year, the entire Kirk family appeared together. Witnesses say the tension was unbearable. Charlie and Erika arrived alone. No embraces. No warmth. Charlie's father avoided eye contact. His mother was visibly shaken. And after the service, according to a leaked message from someone close to the situation, a confrontation erupted in the parking lot. Charlie's mother allegedly accused Erika of cutting them out, of taking their son and walling him off. Erika didn't yell. She didn't argue. She reportedly said nothing at all. She turned, walked away, and got into the SUV. That silence, insiders say, was louder than any scream. From that moment, the family dynamic shattered completely. Holidays were split. Foundations quietly rebranded. References to the Kirk legacy began disappearing from projects Erika controlled. And while the family retreated, something else was happening behind the scenes. Recording. Saving. Archiving. Charlie's parents, sources claim, had stopped trusting conversations to remain private. They didn't expect it to leak like this. Just days ago, footage surfaced from a private PUSA gathering. Not meant for the public. Not meant for cameras. In the clip, Charlie's parents are visibly emotional, being escorted out by staff while voices rise. Erika's name is mentioned repeatedly. The tone is raw. Unfiltered. And then comes the line that sent shockwaves across the internet. Charlie's mother, voice breaking, allegedly says, "She's not one of us. She never was." Within minutes, the clip was everywhere. Twitter erupted. Group chats exploded. Influencers scrambled to pick sides. Some tried to downplay it as stress. Others recognized it immediately for what it was, years of resentment finally detonating in public. Erika's team moved fast. Posts disappeared. Appearances were quietly cancelled. Statements were vague and careful. But it didn't matter. The dam had broken. People started digging. And what they found only made things worse. Screenshots began circulating from what appeared to be an internal strategy document linked to Erika's team. Phrases like legacy shielding and non-aligned family risk leapt off the page. Viewers were stunned. This didn't read like emotional fallout. It read like planning. Like a blueprint. TikTok creators broke it down line by line. Twitter users compared notes. The phrase, calculated exile, started trending. Then came the claim that changed the tone completely. A former staffer, speaking anonymously, alleged that Erika had shut down Charlie's unpublished memoir because it focused too heavily on his parents. According to the source, early drafts painted Charlie as deeply connected to his family, especially his mother. The concern? It didn't fit the image. Masculine origin stories tested better. Vulnerability didn't sell. When a leaked voice memo allegedly captured Erika saying, "We can't market nostalgia," the backlash was instant. Comment sections turned vicious. Supporters hesitated. Critics smelled blood. And just when it seemed like the story had peaked, another name entered the conversation. Charlie's sister. On a private account, she posted a thread that began with one sentence, "You don't get to erase us." Screenshots followed. Emails. Timelines. And then a document that stopped everyone cold. The moment Strategy Phase 3 hit the forums, everything shifted from scandal to something far more unsettling. This wasn't reactive. This wasn't damage control. It read like foresight. Like a plan written long before the family fallout ever went public. Insiders who reviewed the document said their stomachs dropped halfway through because the language wasn't emotional, it was surgical. The file allegedly outlined a future-facing rebrand that gradually detached Erika from Charlie entirely. Not abruptly. Methodically. Line by line, it described a transition from dependent spouse narrative to autonomous moral authority. One section referenced audience conditioning through silence, another flagged strategic absence of primary figure as a catalyst for sympathy and loyalty. People froze when they read the phrase buried near the end. Solo arc viability increases if marital presence becomes undefined. Undefined. Social media went nuclear. Screenshots flooded every platform. TikTok creators stitched the lines with shaky voices. Twitter threads exploded into tens of thousands of comments debating whether this was genius branding or something far darker. Supporters insisted it was fake. Critics pointed out the language matched Erika's past campaigns word for word. And just when the debate hit a fever pitch, a former TPUSA contractor came forward with a detail that poured gasoline on the fire. He claimed Erika had insisted on full approval over Charlie's unpublished materials, emails, drafts, even personal voice notes, citing message coherence. According to him, nothing left Charlie's circle without her sign-off. At the time, it seemed like overprotection. Now, people were asking a terrifying question. Had Charlie lost control of his own voice? Then the therapist's story broke. An anonymous tip landed in a journalist's inbox with 4 words that changed everything. Check the therapist records. What followed felt less like gossip and more like a slow-motion implosion. The therapist wasn't random. She was private. Elite. Someone used to working with high-profile clients under strict confidentiality. And according to leaked emails, she was deeply uncomfortable. Screenshots began circulating, showing correspondence, where the therapist allegedly pushed back against requests to alter session notes. Words like isolation, dependency, and external control were flagged for removal. In one email, she reportedly wrote that omitting those details would be clinically unethical. Hours later, another email surfaced claiming payment would be delayed until language alignment was achieved. That phrase spread like wildfire. Then came the alleged account of a final session. Charlie, according to the therapist's confidential statement, broke down. Not angry. Not defensive. Lost. He reportedly said he didn't recognize his life anymore. Those calls were filtered. That family contact felt managed. That he felt like a prop in something bigger than himself. The most chilling line, shared by multiple outlets, was this: I don't know who I am when the cameras are off. 6 days later, the therapist was gone. Erika's team allegedly terminated the arrangement, citing a shift in wellness direction. A new figure stepped in, not a clinician, but a mindset coach with a background in branding psychology. The optics were catastrophic. Therapy replaced with optimization. Healing replaced with performance. Former staffers started talking. One by one, anonymous accounts appeared. Ex-assistants. Logistics coordinators. Digital editors. All saying the same thing in different words. Nothing was organic. Every caption tested. Every appearance was rehearsed. Charlie's parents allegedly flagged concerns months earlier, warning that something felt wrong. According to one source, Erika responded by tightening access even further. Then a live stream happened that nobody was prepared for. A former coordinator, face visible, voice shaking, went live on a mid-tier political podcast, and dropped a bombshell in front of tens of thousands of viewers. She claimed Charlie's parents were blocked from commenting on his posts. That certain names were filtered automatically. That Charlie didn't even know when his family tried to reach him publicly. The hosts went silent. The chat exploded. Clips were reposted everywhere within minutes. The hashtags took over. #FreeCharlie. #KirkFamily silenced. #Erika unfiltered. Reddit threads dissected years of content, noticing patterns no one had paid attention to before. Family milestones missing. Replaced with curated, chosen family shots. Always linking back to Erika's ventures. Always controlled. Always clean. Erika finally posted, but not an explanation. A proverb. Vague. Cryptic. When wolves circle, remember who feeds them. The internet read it as a threat. Or a warning. Or both. Then the private messages leaked. Screenshots allegedly from a family group chat surfaced, showing Charlie begging to see his mother. "She's not the enemy. Please. I miss her." The reply attributed to Erika was ice cold. "She chose chaos. We're protecting the vision now." That single line shattered whatever support she had left in the middle ground. Conservative outlets started pulling back. Events quietly removed her name. A scheduled appearance vanished without explanation. Donors whispered. Partners hesitated. And then the most disturbing detail yet emerged. A document stored in a shared drive titled Kirk Phase 3. This one went further. It mapped out a future where Erika's identity no longer relied on Charlie at all. Independent faith journey. Female-led moral leadership. And the line that made people physically recoil, plant seeds now for future emergence as solo survivor narrative. Survivor? Was she preparing for separation? Or something else entirely? The timing made no sense, unless the silence was intentional. Unless Charlie's absence was part of the story. Then, after months of nothing, Charlie posted. 2 words. "I'm sorry." No explanation. No follow-up. But digital analysts quickly noticed something chilling. The post had been scheduled. That meant Charlie wrote it earlier and queued it, possibly to bypass real-time intervention. The theory spread instantly. This wasn't closure. It was resistance. Erika responded within hours, not directly, but with a podcast episode. The title alone felt like a punch, When Family Becomes Your Enemy. She spoke calmly. Measured. About choosing God over blood. About not enabling dysfunction. Comment sections erupted with accusations that she was reframing the narrative to paint herself as the victim while Charlie remained voiceless. Then an influencer close to the Kirk family broke ranks. In a now viral story, she claimed she'd seen fear in Charlie's eyes. That he wasn't allowed to speak freely. That the apology tweet was the only crack in the wall he could manage. "Pray for him," she wrote. "He's not okay." The post was screen-recorded hundreds of thousands of times before disappearing. By now, the question wasn't whether something was wrong. It was how deep it went. Speculation about Charlie's location spiraled. Wellness retreat. Family hideout. Isolation. No confirmation. Just blurry photos and theories. Meanwhile, Erika's digital presence began collapsing. Podcast platforms glitching. Website errors. Photos vanishing. And then the final escalation began. An anonymous whistleblower board uploaded a raw audio file with no description. Just a file name that chilled people on site. The voice was unmistakable. Not the public one, Everything went silent before it hit. No teasers. No warnings. Just a single upload buried in an underground whistleblower board that most people had never even heard of. No description. No context. Just a raw audio file with a name that felt final. People clicked out of curiosity. They stayed out of fear. Within the first 10 seconds, there was no doubt. It was Erika. Not the podcast voice. Not the donor dinner cadence. This was stripped bare. Low. Whispered. Panicked. The kind of voice someone uses when they think they are safe. When they think no one will ever hear. If this falls apart, I go back to nothing, she said. I gave up everything to make this version work. The second voice came in calm. Male. Confident. And when people recognized it, the internet imploded. Cat Phillips. The man fans were told was ancient history. The man who vanished from her public life the moment she married Charlie. The man whose name had been aggressively denied for years. Relax, he said. We both knew the Kirk name was just the vehicle. You said it yourself. This was never about Charlie. It was about building something you could control. That was the moment, everything before it snapped into place. The emails. The strategy docs. The silence. The isolation. The brand pivots. This wasn't reaction. It was rehearsal. The call went on. 6 minutes that felt like an eternity. Erika talked about assets. About timing. About how the backlash came too early. Kat reassured her. Told her to hold. Told her the storm would burn itself out. And then the line that sent shockwaves through every platform at once. Widow branding works faster than marriage branding, he said. You become the movement, not just part of it. People froze. Because that phrase wasn't new. It was word for word from the leaked Phase 3 document. This wasn't coincidence. This was confirmation. Then it got darker. Erika referenced severing unnecessary bloodlines. Talked about transitioning emotional dependency into digital loyalty. Referred to Charlie's silence as the perfect prelude. And then, almost casually, she said the word that made everyone's blood run cold. Disappearance. TikTok went into meltdown. Twitter Spaces exploded. YouTube live streams popped up by the hundreds. Everyone asking the same question at the same time. Where is Charlie? Because suddenly this wasn't about a family feud. It wasn't even about manipulation anymore. It felt orchestrated, calculated, and terrifying. By the time the audio finished, the internet was in full-blown crisis mode. Erika's defenders went quiet. Her critics went feral. Conservative and liberal platforms alike dropped the story simultaneously. This was no longer niche drama. This was a 5-alarm collapse. And then, almost immediately, things started vanishing. Erika's podcast feeds went down. Her website returned error pages. Her social media wiped clean of Charlie's presence like he had never existed. Photos gone. Tags removed. Years erased in minutes. It felt surgical. Final. But the silence didn't hold. A new account appeared. No profile photo. No bio. One post. 5 words. They erased me. I'm not gone. The speculation detonated all over again. Was it Charlie? A burner? A warning? Fans dissected the phrasing. The timing. The IP traces. Nothing confirmed. Everything felt urgent. Then came whispers that Pusa had quietly removed Erika from internal operations. No announcement. No explanation. Just absence. Donors allegedly demanded answers. Board members reportedly panicked. This had gone too far, too fast, and too public. Meanwhile, Charlie's parents were done staying quiet. Family allies started circulating old footage. Charity clips. Interviews. Proof of who they were before all of this. The goal wasn't revenge. It was reclamation. To remind people that they weren't villains. They were parents who lost their son in plain sight. And still, Charlie didn't speak. No video. No statement. No confirmation of his location. Just the scheduled apology tweet sitting there like a scar. Analysts pointed out something else chilling. The tweet was posted using a third-party scheduler, not his usual device. Meaning it had been written in advance. Planned. Hidden. People started saying it out loud now. That might have been the only thing he was allowed to say. The theories spiraled. Isolation. Emotional control. Power of attorney. PR exile. No proof. But no denial either. And in this vacuum, fear filled the space. Then one more leak surfaced. Smaller. Quieter. But devastating. A screenshot allegedly showing Erika telling Kat, "By summer, I'll be standing on the ashes." Ashes of what?